Got a question for you. I want to find out what you would do next if you found out right now that your home was actually sold. Sold stickers up, deposits paid. You've negotiated a transaction that's going to close in 60 or 90 days. What would you do now? I'm asking this question because I feel like the reason so much of the marketplace is stuck, why so much of the marketplace right now is just having difficulty getting sales together. Sure, out there's some people that can't physically move or they can't accept an offer because the price doesn't line up and they can't clear title. That might happen. But realistically, that's not most sellers. A lot of sellers are clear title. A lot of sellers have a lot of equity in their home. They've owned it for 10 or 20 or 30 years. But still, they're unable to come to terms on price. They're unable to accept what they, quote unquote, need in order to move on. And an exercise that I think is valuable to do if you're finding yourself in that situation is to ask yourself, money aside, if your home was sold today, what would you do next? Because there's a reality in the marketplace. There's a reality that when we're selling a property, usually the only thing we end up focusing on is the price of which, how much we're going to get in our pocket. And then when we're buying a property, actually it's not price that's number one, believe it or not, for most people. It's actually the interest rate they're going to get on the mortgage. When they're buying, they just fixate on that interest rate. And then after you own a property for 10 or 15 years, some people don't even remember what they paid for it, or they laugh at how much they paid for it. I guess if you've owned a property for 3 years, you're crying at how much you paid for it. And if you're a buyer on the other side, most of my buyers, I phone them 3 to 4 years into after purchasing their property. They can't even remember what their interest rate is. So that's why I asked the question. I want to know what you would do if your home was sold today. Would you be looking at the marketplace, trying to time your next purchase in? Would you be looking at the marketplace in order to try and take advantage of lower purchase prices on the next place you want to move to? Would you consider renting? Is trying to time the market and being out of the market a real thing? Or my most common move right now is to move people outside of the city, and particularly maybe even outside of the lower mainland. But I think if you can put yourself in a spot where you can get over that mental hurdle, put the sale behind you. Think about what that next step would be. We can all focus on what the market's doing. We can focus on things are expensive and cost of living, or get caught up in the news or whatever political party you want to love or hate. We can all get caught up in that. But what would you do if your home was sold today? I think if you can answer that question, if you can honestly sit back and answer that question to yourself, I think it could help you move forward. Because honestly, in this marketplace, the price is the price. Sellers aren't happy with them. Buyers are still not happy with them. Never low enough for a buyer, never high enough for a seller. If they are low enough for a buyer, it's probably not a healthy thing. If they are high enough for a seller, it's probably also not a healthy thing. I would just really be interested to find out where you would go. It's an exercise that can actually help free you from the struggle of trying to get over the anxiety of selling your home, because it's an anxious time. Selling your home is an extremely, extremely anxious time. So put it in the comments. I'm going to do a live stream here. We are live streaming here right now. It's a rainy Thursday afternoon. I would love to see if you have any questions. You want to put them in the chat. Talk about the market. But I just feel like I'm seeing so many sellers who are just holding on to this idea and a price of which is no longer there. And as a result, it's holding them back from the rest of their life. Maybe it's a little philosophical for the channel and it's not my regular stuff, but it is definitely where we are at. It is the realities of the marketplace. So if you're here, give me a thumbs up. I'm sure there's not that many people going to be watching on a rainy Thursday afternoon. I also want to announce, and the reason I'm doing this live stream right now is to make sure I promote the live version of the Tom Story Show coming up this Sunday, 9 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Pacific, where we'll do more of this. Hopefully we'll get a little better audience there of people that are actually looking for us. But yeah, that's what's going on in the marketplace. I will tell you, this is totally anecdotally. In the market right now, we had our team, particularly thanks to one of our team members who just really rock and rolled last month. We've had the best, well, October was our best of the year by far, by almost double. And things are continuing. Things are continuing to look like activity is picking up. Activity picking up does not mean prices picking up. But it looks like properties are getting to a spot where people are ready to move on with their life. So we're going to likely see, my estimation is we're going to likely see, coming off of record low sales, like what do they say, 10-year average low sales or whatever we're at. I think we're going to start to see coming off of those numbers. I very much, though, think by November 13th, by December 15th, I think we're probably going to return to our first legitimate holiday market, which we haven't seen in a long time. Generally, those, like that December 15th through January 1st is usually the slowest time of the year. It was not in previous years. So we could be seeing that coming up. But it does feel more positive. People out there are making offers. Our most actual active end of the market right now is actually our condos. Condos are more active than the other ends of the marketplace right now, which is showing in the numbers, right? I think North Surrey's sitting at something like double a buyer's market at 13.8 months supply of detached homes at the moment. So there's a few people watching. Have you clicked the like button yet? I appreciate it if you do. Oh, I even have a comment. Look at that. The market is cooked. The market's always cooked. I get it. Bottom out in a few years. Renting is the smart move. Yeah, renting is, in my estimation, never the smart move. I think renting is foolish. I think it puts all of your money and equity and your lifestyle into somebody else's hands. So if you're a single guy and you don't have any commitments, you don't have any children, you don't have a wife, you're sitting at home gaming and all you do is go to work and come home and game and that's your life. Okay, be a renter, be happy with that. I think it's absolutely foolish and silly. Maybe there's not enough emphasis put on that right now, just, to have a safe, secure home. Maybe that's not the case. I don't know. I think I wanted to pop on here today to kind of just get everybody to overcome the fear that is out there right now. I don't know if fear is the right word. I will say the misguided people have now come out of the woodwork, if you want to call it that. We are getting lots of, most of our people that want to sell right now did buy in 2022 or 2023. It's way too short of a time horizon to be wanting to do that. Way too short. Not only have you hit a bad cycle in the market by buying in 22 or 23, which can happen. I myself bought a place in 2021. not only can you get hit in a bad time in the market, but if your strategy is ever to get out within the first 5 years, you're in trouble. But what's most likely to happen? Our comment here, there are only one comment right now, by the way. Not that many people watching. That's okay. Bottom is a few years away. Let me know if you think the bottom actually is a few years away. And what is it that we mean by bottom? Bottom being when detached prices bottom, when condo prices bottom, when they start to come back. I mean, we're never going to know when the bottom's in until they come back. I don't think we're going to see upward pressure on price. I don't know that we have a ton of downward pressure still. Foreclosures are a thing right now. Definitely a thing right now. I could talk about that if you want to know about that. James Raffles here. Hello, James. But what is it we mean by bottom? So I did this recently. I charted in my marketplace, the worst crash we ever had was 1981-82, where the market doubled in a year and then halved in a year. It went from about $78,000 for an average detached home to $144, back down to $78,000. Then we had kind of we didn't have the same 1990-91 crash that Toronto did, but it was around that same time, 89-90, something like that. And then we had, obviously, we had like an 12.com problem. Then we went into 08. That's where the real issue was. Then we went into 2015, 16, 17 was an issue here with the taxes coming in and the foreign transfer tax and all that stuff. But really, if I talk about 81, 82, 1990, let's call it 89, 91, whatever it is, and then also 08, let's talk about those as our big three. And then now this one. Generally speaking, you go downwards, sideways to downwards for 3 to 5 years. Then you grind sideways for another 1 to 2 to 3. Then things start to get better. And then every single time so far, within kind of the 8 to 10 year, I think the longest it's gone is 13 years. From that point, prices double from the previous peak. Now, is that going to happen this time? I hope not. But is that what's happened for the last 3 times? Definitely. So are we silly to think that if the last 3 crashes, major events, whatever you want to call them, might echo or might rhyme, right? They say, what's the saying? History doesn't repeat, but it rhymes. If they're going to rhyme, that would be where my bet is. So what's the math on that? Well, we're 3 years in. We're 3.5 years in. So is there a possible downside for another year, year and a half? I think so. Possibly. And then is there a grind sideways? So there's probably another 3 to 4 years from this of stagnation, downward pressure possibly. But to think that it's going to go for another 4 or 5 years after that is likely ill-informed, because something will change. Economies go better, economies go worse, things cycle. It's the way it is. I agree. I don't know what this comment's going to say, but they say they agree. So their comment is correct no matter what it says. When inventory drains and prices have a few months upward to flat is likely the bottom. Unemployment decreasing would be good too. Do you think unemployment's decreasing? Unemployment decreasing, that means employment is increasing. I think that's what that means. I mean, employment's going to be a challenge. Although I have it here on my phone. I probably shouldn't show you my phone, but I have it here on my phone. You have the BC government taking all sorts of steps about immigration and different things. So I think employment's going to get better. And the reason is really think they're going to start kicking out a lot of people that shouldn't be here, or they don't want to accept new people. That will likely help employment. It'll probably be a good thing for the people that are here. Interesting to see if that's actually going to be the case, though. Tom Story is in the house. Tom, I'm trying to hype up the show. Are you flying business class to Toronto? Hashtag a baller. I will tell you on the Tom Story show on Sunday my flight story. Maybe I'll save it for the next week. The answer is business class, no, I could never afford it. Premium? Absolutely. Tom's picking me up from the airport, and I'm going to be on the plane. No, I'm not. Yes, I am. Am I? What was I talking about? I don't even remember anymore. So, which way do you think things are going to go? When do you think, like, if you had to guess, whoever's on here, there's not that many folks, but everybody with a blue background that's a realtor is on here right now. So if you guys are there, Tom, James, when do you think the bottom is? Joe, in the 6, when do you think the bottom is? If you had to guess right now, I'm not going to hold you to it. You'll be wrong. I'll be wrong. But how many people are going to guess the bottom 6 months after the bottom? This is the part I can't figure out right now. For all these, what's his name, David, that commented early, the market is cooked. For all of those folks, those are the folks that like to hold on, not purchase while they have an opportunity to, and then they wait until the market gets good again and they end up in multiple offers. It's crazy to me. This is where my mind goes. Who would have participated in the 2022 marketplace? People loved it. People wanted to be in it like crazy. But people don't want to be in it now. People wanted to be in it when they had to outbid, when they had to be the highest bidder for a property out of 30 or 40 offers. That's when they wanted to be a part of it. But they don't necessarily want to be a part of it now when they can pick from 500 different one-bedroom condos. It's kind of crazy. Ooh, some actual responses. Bottom, second half of 2027. I don't necessarily disagree with you. No idea about prices, but I think sales numbers have bottomed. I agree with you, Tom. March 27. Maybe. It already has, James. How dare you? The market's already bottomed in Kelowna. You've heard it here first on the Surrey Real Estate Channel. The bottom is in Kelowna. Everybody should go buy there now because a realtor James in Kelowna said so. So, I mean, let me give you some numbers here. So, stats video coming out next week, by the way. If you're a stats nerd, follow this channel next week. The stats, I did a high-level overlook of Surrey. Surrey detached houses are in tough. They're in real tough. Prices are coming down quickly. Months of inventory is double a buyer's market. But I'm looking for multiple properties, listings and sales, and purchases, in an area like Port Moody right now. And prices did come down substantially in the last 6 months. They've gone flat. They've gone completely flat. Coquitlam, got a nice listing coming up in Coquitlam soon. I'm not discouraged by those numbers. If you have a Wally condo, a one-bed Wally condo, it's a different thing. I did an evaluation for somebody the other day, and there was 553 one-bedroom condos in the neighborhood of Wally, which is Surrey City Center. It's not a big area. But how do you stand out by being one of 553 condos for sale, one-bedroom condos for sale, in a city of only less than 700,000 people? It's a tough go. It's a very, very tough go. So, yeah, I don't know what else to say. Hopefully, is there anybody else out there right now? If nobody's got questions, I'll wrap it up. I just wanted to get that original thought out that I did at the beginning. Put it in your mind. What happens if you sell? If you're sold today, what do you do? Tom Story, if you're still watching, if you sold your place today, what do you do? You buy a bigger house, move out of the city. It's a tough call. The reason I say that is I'm watching my neighborhood right now. This is like a therapy session for me. I'm watching prices in my own neighborhood come down. And since I went looking at houses 2 months ago, places in my neighborhood are now down at least $100,000 from June numbers. So I was still, let's say in September, I was still holding on to June numbers in my brain anyway. Now there's actual sales turning over or listings. Stuff's 160 to 200,000 less. What would I do? Well, if I crunch the numbers and I really look at my mortgage, I mean, one, the new mortgage I'm going to be taking is likely actually going to be smaller because the places I'm looking at are higher price value, and I've seen them just tumble down in price. One of the houses I was looking at originally, when I said they were asking 2.55, we were never going to get that. But then when I saw it come to 2.25, I was like, well, that's pretty interesting. Then a week later, they dropped it again to 2.15, and I was like, oh man, I'd really like to make that work. It's a lot of house, it's a lot of mortgage. Property ended up selling for 1.98. Pretty tempting stuff. So what would I do? If I was sold, I would have bought that house. One house I was looking at was listed at 1.8, ended up selling for 1.65. I would have bought that house. Okay, what does Tom's story say? Tom, are you still? Thanks for supporting, buddy. You're the best. You'd buy a bigger house. Move on up. James, would you move on up? Would you literally move on up? Would you upsize right now? I don't know if your house is on the market or not, or if you're interested in it. But if you were sold, would you like actually take on a higher mortgage, a bigger mortgage? If so, tell me how much. Could you afford to go up another $200,000-300,000 grand? In my market, $200,000-300,000 grand doesn't feel like enough. That's the real key. That's why people hold on to their price. You buy gold and then in 2 years buy a mansion. Has anybody looked at the gold chart recently? If you want to short anything right now, my thought is short gold. Gold is so overvalued at the moment. People are like, oh yeah, buy gold. Like you what do you call them? Stackers? People that bought gold. You crushed it, man. You hit it. You're just like the doom and gloomers in the real estate market. Like this is you're winning your Super Bowl right now. And you're like, you're still expecting it to get better? Be happy with what you got. If you were a doom predictor for the past 17 years, you guys know who that guy is online. If you were that guy, you're winning right now. So just be happy. Like you're in the locker room shaking up the champagne with the glasses on right now. It's not going to get better from here. You're not going to three-peat this championship, okay? Gold is the same thing. Gold is so high right now. If you bought gold 3 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, you're laughing. If you think you're going to buy at what is likely peak pricing now, and then in 2 years it's going to double again. All right, now I got some questions. Look, I know if I stick around here long enough, nobody says anything on live streams for the first while. Tom, this is what's going to happen on Sunday. Nobody's going to say nothing for half an hour. And then as soon as we hit the half-hour mark, people start chiming in. Question, are you finding people pulling listings and waiting for the spring? I recently noticed a leg down in Toronto this month. Okay, so now we know who you are or where you live. Joe in the 6. You're not in the 604? Anyway, Joe in the 6. So it's inevitable at this time of year that you're going to see prices come down. Listing inventory come down. It's inevitable. Listing inventory at this time is going to fall. It's going to fall. It's likely going to fall all the way through till the second or third week of January, and then it'll pick up again. That's just what happens in the market. My personal business, I'm not seeing anybody pull it off the market and say, I'm going to wait for a better time. I'm not seeing that. I think the reason that I don't have that problem as a realtor like in my business model is I think I spend a lot of time educating my clients on what to expect as they go forward. And then I think a lot of those people that hold on to their price are people that don't necessarily have great communication with their agent, or their agent can't explain to them why their price needs to be where it is. So they end up going, I guess it's just not selling. You can't sell in this market. I hate that. I hate you can't sell. You can always sell. Let me give you an example. If I sold you a one-bedroom condo right now in my market of Wally for $32,000, you would buy it, especially if it rents for $2,100 a month. But if I offered it to you for $600,000, you wouldn't buy it. So the only consideration is really price. So are people going to come back on? Inevitably, people will cancel and they will come back on. They are likely people working with they're either not listening to their agents or they're working with inexperienced agents. Those are the two options. And maybe an agent that doesn't work hard to educate them on where price is. Because that's what our job is. When we're working with sellers, our job is to educate our seller on where market value is. They might be happy with that. They're usually not happy with where market value is, but that's our job. And agents in my marketplace outside of 2019, they were order takers all the way through 2023. They were order takers. They said, how much you want for your house? Cool, let's put it up. And that's that. They didn't have to negotiate. They didn't have to negotiate with the buyers agents, and they didn't have to educate their clients. Okay, where did I leave off here? That was Joe. Up and to the right, gold. I'm telling you, man. Gold, Bitcoin, all of it. Tommy queuing in here. It's late night. It's dinner time at Tommy's house. I listed a condo yesterday. Can I read this out loud? You typed it, so I'm going to read it, Tom. I listed a condo yesterday. 2 realtors called me asking if they should buy it as an investment. Asking if they should buy it as an investment property. Sorry, Tom, you missed a Y. So what, Tom, you're saying is you're getting questions like, wow, that's listed so low. Or like, wow, maybe even I should buy this one. I could see that out there. 100% James says he's moving up. Can I do it right now is the real question. That is the real question. You know what's holding me back from my move is actually just family and kids. Otherwise, I'd be out of there. Oh, I got a story for the Tom Story Show too on Sunday. I am moving. Not what you think, but I am moving. Join us. 6 a.m. Pacific on Sunday, and I'll tell you where I'm moving. Tom hasn't had those calls in years. Okay, so yeah, so where realtors are actually like, holy crap, maybe I should pick this up for myself. Those listings are hard, you know, as getting a listing where you're like, man, maybe I should buy this one. And then you're like, well, I can't buy this one. It's my own listing. I will tell you, one time I did buy my own listing. Really bad to do. Realtors aren't supposed to do it. It was a very unique set of circumstances. But I saw an opportunity, and long story short, it didn't hurt my client. It's actually benefited my client from me buying my own listing. But it was the bank that got hurt. That was many, many, many years ago. Sorry, bank, you lent to the wrong person. I made money off the drop on gold, and today was good. Hopefully another leg down for gold. I agree. I think everything. I started investing in some Bitcoin ETFs, and it's not doing too hot right now. Tom is out. See you on Saturday. Tom's picking me up from the airport. You are shorting gold? You are shorting gold? I'm not shorting gold. Joe is shorting gold. If I was forced to sell right now, not forced to sell, if you were sold, it's the way to look at it. I definitely upsize. Bought a 2-bed, 2-bath townhouse on Fleetwood. Can probably get bigger 3-bed, 3-bath townhouse in Fleetwood for the same price now. That's probably true. Hopefully you got enough space to last a while. That was from Poos. $29.50. Okay, this is too much talk about gold here. I don't actually know anything about gold, so I'm not going to go there. Hi, Steve. What's happening in the Guildford condo market? Asks Patty. The Guildford condo market is... It's all right. Guildford I find interesting because there wasn't a lot of development there compared to others. There's a lot in the 90s. Guildford is one of those areas where you have a lot of folks, for whatever reason, maybe it's because it's North Surrey, and I'm from North Surrey, so we're all scummy, dirtier people. But you have a lot of like properties that are not well kept, not clean, not updated, and that's actually what holds them back. So if you have like, let's call it fresh carpets, fresh paint job, you clean the place, you stage nicely, you'll do very well in condos. They're down, but you'll do much better than in other areas. Come to South Surrey, everybody's staged, everybody's pretty, everybody's nice. So you have a much tougher time trying to stand out in South Surrey than you do in North Surrey, where honestly there's so many rentals and there's just I don't call them dirtier people, but maybe they're dirtier people. It's a real thing. We'll often say that here with my team, like, oh, how did that property show that you showed X buyer the other day? And they'll be like, it showed like a North Surrey condo. And we all know what that means. For whatever reason, people don't like to go in, replace cheap carpet and paint. It's $5,000. You do the carpet and the paint, and you sell for 20 grand more. I don't know why people don't do it, but they don't. How's the New West market? In what sense? Detached? I mean, condos. I've sold condos there. I've been showing detached in New West. Seems okay. Nothing blockbuster crazy. New West is strange though, because so many of the houses are so old. So you got to be prepared to go into like those 1920s, 30s, 40s, 50s houses, and a lot of my market is not prepared to do that. So it's definitely a different. If you're looking at detached, it's different. New West in the condo side of things, I've always had trouble with because they were like the height of the leaky condo stuff. So you ended up with a lot of stuff I wouldn't live in. Let's put it that way. Okay, I think this is the last one I'm going to do because I'm going to try to get to jiu-jitsu class tonight. Question: the people who are being foreclosed on. Ooh, I like this question. How do they get into that state in your experience? Do they have enough equity to sell earlier, or lots of unfortunate events all at once? I will give you my opinion on this. This is not every foreclosure I've had this year or every year, but I've got more foreclosures this year. And I will say, usually when you have a foreclosure, there may have been a time where the owner could have got out, but they didn't want to face their problems because they didn't want to walk away from any equity or anything. Then things start to snowball. And when things start to snowball, they start to put their head in the sand. They walk away from their responsibilities and dealing with the bank rather than going to the bank and trying to sort something out. And I will say that of the foreclosures I've had this year, I don't know who was lending second and third mortgages, but the first mortgage is likely where the actual equity sits, and they can't clear out the second and third mortgages. I've never seen second and third mortgages before last year. It was never a thing. I know they got them in Ontario all the time. I've never seen a second mortgage before last year. Now I'm seeing seconds and thirds. So people were lending people money that had no business getting the money, and they're private lenders, so no business lending the money. They didn't know what they were doing, and they're losing it. So they're underwater. They actually can't sell unless it is a court-ordered sale. And then the worst part is I'm finding a lot of the sellers, wrong word. Seller is the person foreclosing. Owner is the owner of the property. A lot of the owners are, I don't want to say combative, but they're not trying to make the deal come together, because you got to think they're sitting there, they're not paying. There's probably nothing in it for them anyway. In some cases, they're still collecting the rent out of the basement rental and then not paying the bank the mortgage. So I've never come across a foreclosure. That's not true. I saw one once in court that was a very sad story, but I have personally never had a foreclosure that was a sad story. I've had them where the person, what's the right way to say it? They were flying too close to the sun. That's the foreclosure story. Bankruptcies are usually different, though. I deal a lot with bankruptcies in the past, too. Bankruptcies were often, I did a business, it failed. I had a dream, it failed. Or I've even seen a lot of bankruptcies, not a lot, a few bankruptcies where somebody's child got into substances and then they mortgaged the house to get them into rehab. And then they ended up going bankrupt and losing the house and losing everything. And their kid went back into addiction. Terrible. So bankruptcies, you'll see sad stories quite a bit. Foreclosures, it's usually somebody who, I don't want to say deserves it because that's the wrong word, but it's usually somebody who didn't need to be in that situation and chose to go down that road. Well, that's that. I'm going to pack it in. Slow afternoon, it looks like, for everybody. Thank you so much for watching. Please join us on the Tom Story Show this Sunday at 9 o'clock Eastern, 6 a.m., exclusively on YouTube, the only real estate podcast that's really out there right now. And, yeah, we're the guys. Come join us. It'll be a lot more fun than this. We'll have more to say.